Recording now. And here we go. Okay, so welcome everybody to our second live conference of the CertIBET course. It's just after 8 p.m. Central European time on the 11th of November 2018. And basically what we're going to talk about this evening is your answers or your comments to the questions that I put on the Google Doc. So I'm going to share that. Oops, let me just find it first. There we go. There we go. All right. So can you all see the document?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, so I put 7 questions up there just to kind of get you thinking, you know, what have we done so far? Because we're mid-course, we've done 5 modules and we've got 5 modules to go. So these questions were just basically to say, you know, how are we doing so far? What did you enjoy? What did you find interesting or challenging from the first 5 modules? And have you got any questions still remaining from the first 5 modules or any questions going forward? So the first question I asked was which was the most interesting for you, and I think you all agreed on this one here that you found modules 2 and 3, the needs analysis and the course and syllabus design, were the most interesting for you. Would anybody like to add anything to what you've said here?
No.
I'll give you a chance to read first what each other has written. So everything okay here? No further comments or questions? It's interesting. I find it interesting that you thought that this was the most interesting one. Needs analysis for me is basically everything. You know, you can't conduct a really proper business English course and meet the needs of your learners without doing a thorough needs analysis. So, you know, everything else, it depends on the needs analysis. So that really is the most important thing of the course, making sure that you do a good assessment of their needs at the beginning. And then convert that into a coherent course plan. Habta, you did have a question about the course plan. You asked further down, but I'll answer it here as well. What is the difference between a course outline and a scheme of work? There's not actually any difference. They're just different names for the same thing. They can be either called course outline, scheme of work, course plan. But they're all the same thing. It's just basically a rough idea of where you're going with the course, and different establishments call it different words, different names, but in effect it's the same thing at the end.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
I came across these terms in different places, and
yeah.
I just wanted to find out if there were any difference at all.
No difference. Yeah, it's just
fine.
Different people
That's
call them by different names. Yeah. Okay, then moving on to question 2, which module was the most challenging? Again, I'll give you a couple of minutes to read through your comments on each other's.
I don't have much to add to it than what's already put here, and also what everyone else had mentioned. And at first, getting the aims and learning outcomes correct was a bit of a challenge as well, because they seem very similar.
Yeah.
I found that as well. I think it's interesting, Habte, what you wrote about where you are. The syllabuses or the syllabi and curricula are left to other professionals to prepare, and the teacher is just teaching what somebody else has prepared. Is that where you're working now? Is that the case?
Well, actually, I mean, I was speaking about the school system.
Right.
But trainers like me prepare their own lesson plans, their own course outlines, and so on. But about the formal school system, teachers, they may prepare their lesson plans, but syllabi and curriculums are centrally prepared.
Right.
I don't know what the general system here in the Western world is. I mean about the formal educational system, but trainers
I don't work in schools. So.
Yeah, trainers are free to design their syllabus, their lesson plan, and so on. So there is a difference between the two.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it depends on if you're teaching business English at a university or if you're teaching it privately and going into a company. I used to teach at a university here in Germany, and yes, I was told what had to go into the syllabus and in which order, because there were other teachers teaching at the same time, teaching other classes. So we had to make sure that we were doing the same thing, the same topic, although our lessons may have been actually very different. The topic that was covered was the same. So yeah, I think what you're saying there is correct in terms of university or school teaching.
Yeah, I'd have to say I'd have to agree with that, because in many places where I've worked, I've had a mix of experience, mainly where they give you the syllabus or the curriculum that you're going to have to follow. And then you have to prepare your lessons around that, or they don't give you anything and you just have to hope for the best. Prepare your lessons according to what seems to be the best way to do it.
But I think even in places where you're given a syllabus, I think you could still ask the students if there's anything specific that they need and try to feed that in as well, if possible. Sometimes these syllabuses are very, very tight. And you can't do that. But if there is a possibility that you find that students do want or need something in addition to that, then it's not a bad idea to ask them at the beginning. What is quite difficult to do, I think, is to do a needs analysis where the syllabus is already fixed. You find out what the students want. You find out that they don't want what is in the syllabus, and you say, well, I'm sorry, I can't change it anyway. So that, I think, is a little bit, I wouldn't recommend doing it, because then it's like, well, why did you ask us what we want if you're just going to give us the syllabus anyway? So each situation is different. Take a look at it at its own merits. But if you can, then get their needs in if possible. Yeah. Okay.
And then just all of that time that's involved. Although it's in the beginning, because once you have all of that organized, then you can recycle it. But
exactly, yeah. And if you've got your needs analysis questionnaire, if you've already done that the first time, then I don't find it's that much time consuming at the beginning.
No, I agree with that.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to move on to the aims and outcomes, because that is one of those things that is really quite tricky. And I think it's important to understand the difference. That the outcomes is what the learners have to be able to do, or should be able to do, at the end of the lesson or the end of the course, that they couldn't do before. And the aims are what you're going to do to help them get there. So your aims, the outcomes are worded very much in learner speak. I should be able to give a presentation or have an interview. Whereas your aims are the small steps that you're going to take in order to help your learner to be able to do that at the end. So if it was the interview example, at the end of the course, they should be able to have an interview, give an interview. Then what are all the small things that you're going to do to help them get there, which includes giving them the language, talking about different types of interview questions, like the behavioural one that we looked at, practicing an interview, whether online or face-to-face. And they're all the aims, what you're going to do to help them get there, whereas the outcomes is the final thing that they should be able to do. And that's kind of, roughly speaking, the difference between the aims and the outcomes. Francis, I don't think you did get them confused in the last one.
Not in the last one,
yeah.
But when the task where I preempted having to do a full lesson plan and did it, then yeah. Okay. But it was like a block. Even doing the class with, or the collaborating with Catherine, we both was like, oh, I have to get this right, and which way round is it? Okay, yeah, all right. And we swapped and changed it back again, and then we got it right. But yeah, it was just one of those things. Since CELTA, I've had a block about it, and it's just.
I find it easier to start with the outcomes. What should the students be able to do at the end? And therefore, what should I do to help them get there?
Do you say the learner will be able to, or no? You say, because you don't know if they will or not.
Yeah, should be able to, you could, yeah. But I mean, in an ideal world, at the end of this course, the learner will be able to, if everything has worked. You can word it, will be able to. But yeah, you can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Helen.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference between teaching aims and learning aims? Learning aims, could they mean the outcome?
Yeah. So if you're using the word learning,
we are using the word aims, and when we say teaching aims, as you said, it may refer to the ends, but learning aims, it may refer to learning outcomes.
Exactly, yeah. If the word has got learning in it, whether it's learning goals, learning aims, learning outcomes, then it's what the learner should be able to do at the end.
Yeah, that's what I understood it to mean.
Yeah.
Although the use of the word as a common word for learning and teaching is a bit confusing. I thought learning aims would be different than teaching aims. Teaching is what you teach. Learning
is what they'll hopefully learn.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, this is one of those things where people use different words. People use aims, goals, outcomes, objectives. Objectives is another one. But it's the teaching is what the teacher wants to achieve, and the learning is what the learner should be able to do at the end.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Does that all make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Question 3. This is my favorite question to ask about your aha moments during the course. And I'm going to start actually with Frances, because I love her aha moment. She's basically saying that she didn't realize how much she's enjoying teaching business English. Frances, do you want to say a bit more about that?
Yeah, I really fell into teaching business English because I was offered some classes and the rate of pay was good. So I took them on, but I really didn't have a clue what was different about teaching business English. And especially the videos and so on at the beginning of the module, I love the fact that it's not general, that there are, once you have you establish the needs of the students and so on, that there are very practical things that you're helping them with or helping them to learn. And I'm really finding that I'm enjoying teaching business English classes, and I keep being offered new classes, and rather than thinking, oh no, I'd rather have a stroppy teenager who needs to do first certificate, I'll take on a business English class, even if it means I have to travel an hour and a half to get there. And yeah, no, it's not a specific moment, but it's kind of a warm glow that comes across me when I'm teaching business English now.
Yeah.
It was maybe because I didn't think I was good enough, and with professionals, but now I'm feeling much more confident because of the materials that we've been given. I've had loads of practice of taboo or not taboo and meetings, and yeah, it's coming together and making much more sense. But it's been a gradual aha.
You found something that you're good at that you didn't expect to be good at.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily good, but I think I'm better than I was last time.
Exactly. Yeah. It can be learned. Yeah. I think you've got the dedication and the motivation to learn it. Then yeah, definitely. Yeah, fantastic. I like also Kate's answers here, equating her aha moments. Popcorn flying out of a saucepan. Can you name any specific pieces of popcorn, Kate?
Well, off the top of my head, it's a bit difficult, but it kind of would connect to our earlier the answer from the very first question of which module we liked the best. Because when I started to read about each point, each part, it just came away going, oh yeah, of course, makes sense. So I mean, I can't name just one because I'm not really sure. I'd have to like really look at it and go, okay, yeah, there was this one, and I could give an example, but it's not how it like right in front of me. But I almost feel as if I'm coming out from like the shadow of Francis as well, going, yeah, I'm feeling the same thing. I haven't had to give like really serious or official business classes yet, but just going through all of this material and each part that we go through, I have like a stronger sensation of, okay, this is English. This is where I want to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So to nail it more concretely, it's gonna be a little bit tricky, but pretty much just everything and the organizing of that as well. I mean, there's the organizing of material resources web pages, that's separate, and then also just organizing my head this is the process that one has to do to give a class. I guess the needs analysis, then the syllabus creation, the scheme of work. I'd never really looked or thought about that before. So that was also pretty helpful.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Got some lovely positive feedback there. Yeah, Hapta, you've mentioned about the article about meetings, that you experienced your aha moment when you said there's a science for conducting meetings.
Yeah, it was interesting to read Michael Bergman's article. He speaks about there being a science of meeting. And I never knew there was, and that was an aha moment for me. I wish I could read the full text of his article so that I can get a clear grasp of what is meant by the science of meeting. But it's an interesting point, an interesting piece of information, actually.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's something that we learn with business English teaching as well. You learn so much about business just in researching. You know, you need to do a lesson on meeting skills, and so you research meeting skills, and you find that there is a science for conducting meetings, and you think, oh, I never thought about that. And so you're learning things all the time about the business that you're doing. So I think it's fantastic, you know, what we do as business English trainers. Yeah. And Sylvia, you've mentioned about what you're learning from your colleagues. This is kind of connected to point 4, but we'll talk about it now. You said that you're learning a lot of information from your colleagues. Can you say a little bit more about that? Oh, we can't hear you. Is your microphone on mute?
Now, is it working?
Yeah.
So I was saying that for me, because I did my TESOL diploma about 2 years ago, I'm still remembering and being familiar with the learning objectives and the aims and things like that. So that wasn't new for me. Like Kate pointed out, that for her it was like, oh, that's really the way you design like a lesson, right? I didn't have that feeling because I knew maybe I didn't do it perfectly when I was posting my comments and stuff, but I knew that was the process. So for me, it was a lot more like learning from what they were saying. Like Francis was, you know, mentioning a lot of links and things. You can do this, you can do that. Hapte with the experience. You know, Kate was a little bit like me, like, oh, fascinated about everything. Like, oh wow, that's really cool. So so yeah, I'm learning a lot from all of you guys. So really appreciate your comments, and even if I don't answer to all of them, because for the first videos, I think it was Kate, Kate said something like, I'm not sure if I have to reply to all the comments, even if I want to. So sometimes I've got the same feeling, like I don't want you guys getting the summary email, this digest email, and seeing all my comments being like, wow, cool, thanks. I'm just like not replying to everything, but I'm reading them all. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us have a similar feeling, and can definitely understand it, because reading through everything and then further investigating. I don't know if everybody, I'm sure all of you guys do that too. You see one thing and then you start reading in a whole bunch of other places about it, and then doing the task and all of that within the week. To then come in and respond to all of the comments, it's there's no time to do all of them. So
on previous courses with TCE, part of the tasks were specific. You had to comment at least on one other person's post in order to pass the task. So I'm quite happy that it's not obligatory. And I would love to be able to reply to everyone. And Sylvia, keep them coming. You know, don't feel bad about us receiving this in our feed. It's great to read everyone's comments, and I feel bad that I haven't been able to thank people and to acknowledge other people's responses as much as I would be able to. But is that correct, Helen, that we don't, it's not...
That's right, yeah. We've kept it flexible because of the amount of work on the CertIBET course. Yeah, you're right. Previous courses, we said you must read and reply to at least one of their colleagues' comments. But this time it's basically reply if you want to. I know you're reading them, you know, because they're coming through on your digests. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to then think of a reply or to get round to replying. So yeah, it's up to you. If you want to reply to them, go ahead. But if not, just read it and leave it. That's cool. Yeah. So that leads us basically onto the next question. This was more getting you to think about your preferred learning style. You know, do you prefer to work on your own? So here you're doing the different, there's lots of different types of tasks. Do you prefer to actually do the task? Do you prefer to read the articles? Think about it. Francis, you said that one. That was one for you, that you got a lot out of thinking about it and posting. So kind of getting the information in your head. Collaborative working is something that we ask our students to do, and then obviously getting feedback from the tutor. All of these different things contribute to learning. Hapte, I think you hit the nail on the head here when you said, yeah, learning is multidimensional and you learn from everything. Can you say a little bit more about this?
Well, I'm sorry, I have caught a cold and I have to clear my throat from time to time. I don't know if multidimensional clearly spells out what I mean to say. I mean, I'm learning from all sources, from my fellow partners, from books, from videos, etc. And we are given tasks to do. And unless there is somebody to check our progress, we wouldn't know how well we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel the instructor's input is vital, and not only vital, but most important, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's a matter of getting guidance. Unless one gets feedback as to how one is doing, however hard one works, unless one gets feedback, it may be difficult to assess where one is actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're doing in our lessons as well with our students. You know, we try to encourage pair work and so on, collaborative work, and peer feedback, that we get our students to feed back to each other and tell each other how they think they're doing. But I think at the end of the day, you have to have the instructor come back and say, oh, you know, just to add that final thing, yes, this is all fine what you're doing, here's a little bit of feedback. And I think that is our role. It's very important that we don't forget that role at the end, even if we're making a lot of use of peer feedback, student to student feedback, that we still remember to come in and give our own feedback at the end in whatever we're doing. There's a really nice, in terms of interaction patterns in the classroom, there's a really nice thing that I remember, I tell my CELTA tutors all the time this. It's called heads up, heads down, and heads together. And heads up is the part of the class where you're listening to the teacher. The teacher is explaining something, maybe if it's a face-to-face class, it's on the board. Or you're reading, watching a video, for example, in an online course. So your head's up and somebody is telling you something. Heads down is where you're sitting, working things out in your head. You might be reading an article and thinking about clarifying your thoughts, like Francis says down here, and posting in the forum or giving your answers to a question, where you're working out in your head this new learning which is coming in. And then heads together is the collaborative work. And so this is why when I put this A to E up here, this is kind of a mix of heads up, heads down, and heads together work. And I think if you think about these three different interaction patterns and have a balance of all three in your classes, in your online classes or face-to-face classes, then I think you have this multi-dimensional approach that Habta mentions, makes it not boring for the learners. You know, sometimes they're listening to you as the teacher, sometimes they're consolidating for themselves, and other times they're collaborating with each other. And I think that's just a really nice, nice way. So heads up, heads down, heads together. Remember that.
Yeah, it's good also, not just for keeping it not boring, but since we all learn kind of at different paces and ways, it helps kind of, it's like the piece of pie for each person. So okay, maybe I'm more of a heads down learner, but with the combination of it, it allows everyone to come in and do something, progress through the tasks. So I think it's quite helpful having that mixture as you've outlined.
Exactly. Yeah, and even if you say that you're a heads down person, I think I'm quite a heads down person as well. But I think you have to remember that not everybody is. And so in your class you have to have this combination of different interaction patterns. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so that question was basically just for you to think a little bit about your preferred learning styles, and also how to transport it onto your learners as well. Questions about the first 5 modules? Yeah, most of you don't have questions. Habta, you said, yeah, we've answered that question about the course outline and the scheme of work. Oh, and also between lesson design and lesson plan. Again, it's the same thing. It's just a different word for the same thing. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. And your second question then, which one of the 5 modules do you think we learners were most successful in? I'm not sure.
I'm speaking as a group, of course.
What do you think you were most successful in?
I mean, I just wanted your opinion as to how well we did generally, and in particular, well, you are telling us how well we did in your weekly comments, but my question was, which module do you think we were quite successful in? If you have been aware of this, I mean, if you say they did better in one course better than other courses.
No, I don't. You mean comparing you to other courses that I taught
module.
on?
I'm confusing module. I'm sorry,
With module, right, okay.
I'm confusing module and course.
And course, right.
It's a matter of curiosity. If there is something that we were very successful, if there is any module that we were very successful in, that's what.
Yeah, I don't think I could say it. I can't really say, because the modules are all very different. You know, the topics are very different, and you're all doing the tasks. You're working together really, really well. You know, the collaborative tasks, you're working together well. You're posting your answers on the forum. You're responding occasionally to each other, and I'm responding to you. And I wouldn't want to say that you're, you know, as a group, you've done particularly well in one module compared to another. You're doing well. You're all doing well in all of the modules.
Fine.
Sylvia's given a little jump of joy there. Yeah, no, and I think you feel that. I think you feel it as well, because of what you're learning and because of my feedback. I think you probably feel that you are doing quite well. But I'm not sure whether it's really worth comparing, even if you've done better in one module, because it doesn't make any difference. It's a kind of additive course where each module you learn something new. You know, it's not one module competing against another. It's each module is building on the previous one.
That's a sensation that I had, exactly what you explained, that each module is quite different, and each person has, to their best capabilities, participated in everything. So, and then of course, since it's so different, each module topic is different. I don't think we would be able to say where success lies stronger on what end. I guess it depends in the end who understood which module the best.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
But I came away with the sensation that we've all been working alone, individually, and in pairs quite well. And not just in pairs, but I also mean like by giving the comments when we can. And yeah, it's kind of I agree with what you said.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Excuse me, Helen, to be more specific, actually, module 3 was very challenging for me. It was very challenging, and I was wondering if it was as challenging as it was for the other group. If it was as challenging as it was for me. In other words, how did all of us do in module 3? That's another way of saying the question, actually.
Okay, yeah. I think if we go back to the question, you know, which module was the most challenging? And yeah, you've all said basically module 3 was the most challenging. So you're all in the same boat there. Okay. And I agree that if particularly if it's new for you, yeah, I mean, Sylvia is saying that she did it just a couple of years ago in her diploma course, or even though you did it, Sylvia, fairly recently, you still found it quite a struggle. It is difficult to get your head around the syllabus design. It's a big thing to have to do. And yeah, perhaps in the CertIBET course in module 3, maybe needs a little bit longer than the other modules because of the size, the immensity of doing the scheme of work. But this will help you if you're doing, if you choose to do assignment question 1 at the end of the course. This is all, module 3 will help you because you're asked to design a 30-hour syllabus. But yeah, no, but I thought you did very well in it. Does that help, Hampton? Does that
yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, about the next 5 modules then. what you're saying. Yeah, you're looking forward to it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Kate, you said you would have appreciated longer study periods. Yeah.
But
it's
I know
an intense course.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's totally I understand that. Like even before, I think when I had been speaking with Gavin, or I had mentioned like, oh well, is this possible to combine with a work schedule? And so yeah, he made it clear. Well, it's an intensive course. I mean, you should be able to manage, but so I knew like from the start that it was going to be full on.
Yeah. I mean, you have had this week as well, you know, a slight break this week, and then at the end of the course, the Moodle stays open for a further 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you can go in and you can take a look at things that you want to review or anything. In that 12-week period, that's when you're writing your assignment. So we keep the course open for you for that period of time as well. So you've got until, I think it's the 10th of March to take a look at things. So, you know, we need to keep the modules themselves week by week so that it's a set 10-week course. The contact hours of the 10-week course. And then after that, you've got... you basically don't hear from me for the 3 months, but you can go in and have a look at the modules and the tasks after that. Yeah.
That's a bit scary.
The assignment?
No, not necessarily. Well, I haven't really got to, I kind of know where I want to go, but I'm not. The fact that we're kind of, okay, out you go, get on it. And you won't be there to help.
I won't be there, unfortunately. No, we'll have a session at the end where I will help you with, you know, any specific questions that you have about your assignment.
And has that been decided by the governing body of this qualification?
Yeah. I mean, we'll come on to this is basically the question now. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to read everybody's questions on the written assignment. Okay, I'll go through your questions one by one here then. So Kate, yours was the first question about a possible extension past the 3 months. It is possible, but you would have to pay for it. It's not free. I'm not sure what the charge is, but we can. But if you realise that you're getting to the end of the 3 months, to the 10th of March, and you're not going to achieve it, if there are specific extenuating circumstances such as illness or anything like that, then yes, we would grant a further 6 weeks. Otherwise, we can grant it, but
yeah, paying extra.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Sylvia's question. Yeah, you have to. That's true. Yeah, you have to add references at the bottom of the main body and then scan in your document. So basically, at the end, you're sending in your assignment in a Word doc or a PDF. You can convert to a PDF, and then a separate document with all of your scanned pages in. So it's one PDF document with all of your scanned pages in as well.
But could you put, for example, brackets 1 and then have the 1 in the reference in your appendices for the list of references that you use?
Yes, yeah. That's possible to do as well. Yeah, whichever way you want to do it is fine, but you need to have it referenced in the main body and in the appendices as well. Does that answer that question, Sylvia?
Yes, yeah. I think it was more, related to what Francis asked. So can you just write like a 1 or something, and then it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you can. Right. Your second question here then, is there a sample cover page? Yes, there is, and I'll show you the sample cover page now.
That sounded like a very stupid question, but
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Sometimes you don't know, where to put things, and it's just like there must be a sample somewhere,
Yeah. Here it is. Yeah. So this, for example, if you were to do question 1, and I'll send this to you in time for you to start working on your assignment at the end of the course. You basically just put the rubric here, the question, your word count, and then details here, so that when you send it in, everybody is using the same cover page.
Great.
Thanks. Yeah, but I'll send you that at the beginning.
And that doesn't count as the word count?
No.
No. Yeah. That's what I'm concerned about, and I think Sylvia as well. It's like putting unnecessary stuff to take up words.
Yeah, no, that doesn't count. Yeah, and then your final question, Sylvia, is there anything extra you can pay for to have some help to write the assignment, like proofreading? You can go ahead and do that. You can find a proofreader if you want. Maybe one of your course colleagues wants to offer to help. Frances put her hand up there. Yeah, that's up to you. I unfortunately can't provide it, because I might be tempted to give you some answers as well. So, but you could ask one of your course colleagues to do that if you like.
So there's nothing like, there's nobody professional like you or any other tutor from other course that we can pay for and, you know, have that checked. It's not so much about the proofreading thing, but when I did the diploma, I wrote everything, and then I had this tutor that was helping me and, you know, pointing out and commenting and stuff. And then in the end, I didn't get the mark that I was expecting after so much feedback and stuff. So now I'm worried that I do it without any feedback, thinking that I'm doing it right. And then it turns, because I was 100% sure I was going to get like a distinction or something. And I wasn't even close from that.
Okay.
Not even after all the comments of my tutors. So that's why now I'm a bit like, maybe if I write it on my own.
Yeah, no, the guidelines are that we as the tutors are not allowed to provide any help after the end of the course. You're basically very much on your own.
Okay. So what would you, if you were in our shoes, what would you suggest to us to do? As far as
I haven't really had the situation with all of the CertIBET assignments that I've read so far that that people have struggled with this. They've just done the best they could, handed it in, and passed.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure whether you're worrying a little bit unnecessarily here, Sylvia.
Maybe, yeah.
As long as you follow, you know, everything that we've done in the course, and answer the question. Make sure you answer the question. It's quite unlikely that you would fail if you do everything right. But I mean, yeah, I mean that's a silly thing to say, isn't it? But yeah, but I can't. I'm not allowed to. The governing body won't allow me to.
Okay. And do you recommend us to start working on it now or wait for all the
Wait for the end of the course?
Okay.
Yeah. Wait until the end of the course, because there's so much to do in the course. I mean, you know yourself that even keeping up with the course tasks is quite difficult. And you'll be able to, even if you've decided you want to do question 1 or 2, which is the first 5 modules, I would still say, because there's so much more coming up, you know, there's the whole unit module about intercultural skills, and that needs to go in. Even if you've decided to do to design a scheme of work, you still need to incorporate some kind of intercultural part of it into it. So I would say wait until the end of the course, and then you've got a clearer idea of the whole thing before you start working on the assignment. I would recommend that you do start working on the assignment if you can over the Christmas holidays, if you do find time over the Christmas holidays, and that you don't leave it until the last minute. I have had participants leave it until the very last minute, and then it was just full of mistakes and proofreading, and they could have done better. I mean, they did pass, but they could have done, I feel that they could have done better if they'd invested more time in it. So that was
Thank you. And I think maybe you had mentioned this in the last video conference we had, but if we do the project, send it in, and it doesn't get accepted, there is an opportunity to redo it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's called a refer. So it's either you get either distinction, a pass, or refer. And refer just means you get another chance to do it again. And I think you have 6 weeks You have 6
Okay,
weeks.
I was just
to
going
do
to
it.
ask to clarify.
Yeah.
3 months?
No, I think it's 6 weeks. So even if you, Kate, if you feel that, like you've mentioned here, that the 3-month period is quite tight for you in terms of your workload, you could submit it anyway.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't pass first time, you get the chance to have a second go.
Yeah, I'll use that time to tweak it up and
yeah, that could be a possibility. Yeah.
That leads me to another question. When we do submit our projects, in the very end, does it get any feedback or pointers? Oh.
Yeah. You get. So I do complete full feedback in the same way that I've been feeding back so far on your posts. You get a full feedback document from me as to what was good about it and what could be improved. Right.
Yes, thank you. For such reports, for such assignments, what is the standard page count? If there is anything
it's a word count. It's not a page count. It's a word count. Yeah, between 3,000 and 4,000 words.
Yes, I understand that. But what is the general page count for such assignments? If there is a standard, I mean.
Yeah, this depends very much on. Okay, these are the questions. Can you see the questions?
Can I say the question?
Can you see the assignment titles now? Am I sharing this? Or?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Yeah. It's all 4 questions. It depends which question you choose, because, for example, in question 1, you need to design a 30-hour scheme of work. So your assignment is going to look like a tabulated scheme of work.
Right.
Whereas down here, it's saying, for example, your question 3, you're training a group of professionals, and you have to evaluate the methods, approaches, techniques, and resources that you will use. Now that is just like an essay.
Right.
So that will be fewer pages than question 1, because in question 1 you've got a lot of you've got tables in question 1. So in terms of the number of pages, if you do question 1, you're going to have more pages than question 3. But the word count still has to be between 3,000 and 4,000.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Does that make sense?
Right, I understand that. He's right.
Okay, and then your other question was about the method, the referencing system.
Right.
As far as I know, yes, you have to use the Harvard one, and the details of that are on the in the resources section of the Moodle.
Okay.
Let me go back up to the top here, and I'll show you. Yeah, here. So this Harvard style guide for assignments here, that tells you the referencing system that we want you to use for your assignments.
There is an American one, usually I think used by American universities, and I happen to be more conversant in that.
Yeah, I realise that, but this is a British qualification, and we want you to stick to the Harvard style guide, because then it's easier for us to market.
Okay, fine.
It's then standard for us. Yeah, because it will be moderated. Your assignment will be moderated internally by me, and then externally by someone from Language Cert, who was the awarding body. And so for standardization purposes, we just like everybody to be using the same system. Okay, is that all right, Hapta?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you'll have to learn the new system. It's not that much different to the old one. Okay, and then finally, Francis, your 2 questions here. Will you be given at least one example of each of the different titles? The answer to that is no. Unfortunately.
We were with the CertICT.
Yeah. No, we're not allowed to do that either. Yeah, and then the end, please could you clarify what is meant by the contact phase? The contact phase is the end of the Moodle course. Right. So that's the, when is it, December the 16th, I think it is. Yep, December the 16th. So this is what I'm saying, after December the 16th, I'm not allowed to help you anymore.
Okay. Can I just ask another question, going back to the document that you showed with the titles, just to clarify something in the bottom points, which I've just seen. Question 4, for example.
Yeah.
It has to be, okay, you've been asked by a company of your choice to submit a written proposal for 10-hour business English program for a group of learners within that company, and having to provide a company profile and of the specified group. So there, are we... do we have to have a group in mind of our own? What kind of profile are you after for the specified group?
Yeah, you do need to, so it has to be a company that you are familiar with. So you need to give us information about the makeup of the learners in terms of their background, their language background, their nationality, their jobs, their motivations, their interests, all of those standard things that you give about the profile of the learners. So you do need to know the learners.
Okay. Being devil's advocate, is anybody going to know if we just invent these names and nationalities?
No. But it would make it easier, I think. I think it would make it easier for you to answer the question if you had these real learners in mind rather than just having made them up.
Yeah, no, I've got some in mind if I chose that one. I'm not veering towards that one, but who knows?
Yeah. You never know by the end, yeah. This is why I think it's good to wait until the very end before you choose, because you might be thinking right now, oh, I'm going to do question 1 because I enjoyed doing the scheme of work, for example. But then towards the end of the course, you might think, oh, no, I'd really like to do question 4.
Question 4 is interesting for me because I'm thinking about putting myself forward as approaching companies in my area as a language coach rather than a teacher. So perhaps doing that task would be
exactly practical. Give you the motivation
Scary,
to do it.
And when it talks about the profile, everything that you just outlined, an example of that is what we had done in task 5.3 with the lesson template.
Exactly.
Was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was all of your questions then. So I'll stop sharing there. I hope that's been a little bit clearer for you, what we've just discussed here. Like I say, you're all doing very well. I'm really pleased with your progress so far on the course, and you're doing the tasks, you're collaborating well, and yeah, fantastic. You're doing a very good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've opened module 6 for you. I've seen some of you have been in already and had a look at it and started it.
Yeah, Francis has already posted something, right?
Exactly.
The first one's really, books and Habte also.
Yeah.
I posted mine already, I think, or I left it as a.
Yeah, no, you did as well with videos.
Okay,
yeah.
Wasn't sure to post it or edit it. I don't know, but.
One thing with when we post YouTube videos, if we post the link directly cut and pasted from YouTube, it shows up with the picture, if you like, the screenshot. If you copied and pasted that YouTube link into something, do you know bit.ly or tiny URL? These are,
and it shortens it, right?
Shortens it, and if you copy and paste it and use that as your link, then you don't get the picture with the screenshot of them.
Okay.
Of the video. Just somebody on another, I think it was Robert on another course, Martinez, told me that it's preferable to do it that way. I don't.
Okay.
What did you call them? Bit.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Just a second.
Lee and tiny. I think it's tiny.url. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if you can see the chat box, but those are 2 places where you don't have to subscribe or anything. You can, I think. And if you copy and paste your link in there, especially useful if it's a really long link, it makes it really short, and then you can just copy it and paste it. Helen's disappeared.
Maybe disconnection issue there. And when you guys see it with the, is it just the image, or can you play it from the forum?
I didn't have time to play them, but I'm sure you just click on it and it plays it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I couldn't choose a book. Just one book was impossible to choose.
Same for me. Well, actually, with all three of those, it was too difficult to. It was too difficult to say. Oh, just one, because too many to choose from.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Cool.
So we seem to have lost Helen.
Helen's disappeared behind a black square with TC.
Do you know, Francis, if you have, if you select the time for the Zoom, maybe as soon as it expires, let's say that she said it's a top of 9 o'clock, maybe that's why she left, or?
It could be, but she should be able to come back in again. And I would imagine that's if you have a free membership. If you go for the free version, it's a maximum of 40 minutes. And I'm sure this isn't
they probably
free.
pay because we are more than 1-to-1, right? So.
Exactly. Let me send her a quick WhatsApp.
Just because she's over there going, oh no.
Where have you gone?
God. Although I mentioned that probably would have logged everyone out as well if it's timed.
Yeah.
Probably would have.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm sure it's not the case here. There's maybe something else happened. Let me see. Yeah. We're still here.
Well, let's see.
Okay. I'm really struggling to get all these tasks done. Taking up a lot of time.
Yeah.
This is being recorded, so we have to be careful how we.
Yeah. No, but.
Hi. Sorry, I'm.
Fit.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the recording now, just to say.
Yeah.